Yeah.
Hey, we're week plus into camp. It's been a great start. Um, just fun to go out and work and spend time with guys and just get better as an offense, as an individual player. I find my focus is on younger players or players I haven't played with as much before, trying to work together where we can get really comfortable. So that's kind of what camp has been for me and will be, and we just keep stacking days up. Take any questions you have.
What's that process like then, adjusting to some new tight ends with Irv out?
Yeah.
What are the details of how you build that chemistry?
Yeah, I think with Zach, it's really exciting because I see a lot of ability in him, and so you see a high ceiling, and a desire to work and get better, it's exciting to work with a guy like that, where you see all this potential down the road. Similar to how I felt about Tyler Conklin, 3-4 years ago. You want to see that development happen, and it's going to. And with Johnny, it's fun because he was in this system. So there's times where I'm leaning on him to tell me what he's feeling or seeing, because he knows it better than I do because of his experience. And he had a phenomenal catch in one of our early practices a week ago on a high ball that he came down with and showed his athleticism. So those two guys will lean on a lot, and we ask a lot of our tight ends. It's a unique position, and they got their work cut out for them.
Production that you and Adam have had in the red zone, especially the past 2 years, what are sort of the factors that have gone into that?
It's hard to point to any one thing. I do think coaching makes a big difference. I think the plays that we're drawing up, we're getting him open. So I got to give a lot of credit to the game plans, and then I think we do try to get our best players the football, and Adam falls under that category. So many times he's early in the read, and if he's there, we're going to take him. But he's also made a few incredible plays himself. I think of a one-handed catch he had against the Cowboys in 2020. So there's a few that he's making that are really impressive as well.
His ability to sort of make those catches when he's not 10 yards wide open necessarily.
Yeah, I think he's always been strong with the football, had great natural hands, great body control, and he plays big. He plays big and strong, and he runs big and strong. So that shows up in the red zone and in tight windows and in tight coverage.
Kirk, people say that Ed Donatel is so well disguising defenses. From that particular situation, going against his defenses in games and in practice, how is he at kind of disguising defenses?
Yeah, if people say that, they're right. It's really good. Yeah, he does a really good job. Everything looks the same, and at some point I stopped trying to figure it out pre-snap. I just try to figure it out post-snap because it's so muddy pre-snap, and quite frankly, post-snap, it can get pretty muddy. So I think it's a point of emphasis for their defense, a big coaching point for them, and they're getting it done. So they're taking away a lot of explosives, and we've had to be patient and take what they give us.
I saw you.
His raw skills, but when you got a guy who's 6'7" and can run, a 4.6,
right?
You put those together. I mean, sometimes you're just born with that too, right?
Yeah, there's certain things you can't teach. You can't teach 6'7", and talking about his speed is got a funny backstory there. We wear these trackers when we practice that give us our miles per hour we run. So all of us want to know how fast we are, right? So like in the Arizona game last year, I got just over 19 miles an hour, and so it was a big deal that Cousins broke 19. And we have a T-shirt we give out in the building. Our head strength coach, Josh, gives it out if you get to 21 miles an hour. And I'm never going to see 21 miles an hour, but obviously the fastest guys on the team are going 21. So it's an elite group. And Zach's one of those guys who's at like 20.9. So whenever he gets a vertical route, I know he's going to be flying because he wants that tracker at the end of practice to say that he went 21. So one of these days we're going to get him his T-shirt, but to your point, he's got a lot of down the field speed, and obviously at his height has a lot of size as well, and that combination gives you a lot of potential as a player.
Kirk, I saw you met Andy Murray this summer.
Yeah.
Did you actually get to hit with him? Or
I didn't hit with him. I
just
said hello to him, and it was fun to get to meet him. Met Isner and a few other guys, Steve Johnson, some of those pro players. Tennis for me is always, always is an exaggeration. The last few years has become a big part of my training, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of guys play pickup basketball, and it's a great way to get cardio and kind of have fun while still getting all the benefits you're trying to get from training. And I was just nervous about rolling an ankle or something happening in 5-on-5, and I thought, what would be the next closest thing where I can kind of be in my own space? And I realized tennis, would be a great thing to do. And then when I went out there to hit, someone told me that Pete Sampras used to warm up for serving by throwing a football because the motions are so similar. And I hadn't even thought of that, but then when I started serving, I realized how similar they truly are. And I mentioned that to Breeze at the Pro Bowl a few years back, and he said, well, actually, a serve is the only throwing motion where the object stays in your hand as opposed to the football leaving your hand. He said that actually helps strengthen a lot of the muscles in the back of your shoulder. So I was already sold on tennis at that point, but that kind of put me over the edge. So now in the summers, I play a lot of tennis as a way to just make sure I'm getting my cardio, getting ready for the conditioning test, but then also doing something fun, hand-eye coordination, and it forces me to move in all directions. And I honestly do think it's helped me with my movement in the pocket, being a little bit more agile. I'll never be a Lamar Jackson type, but I think playing tennis is just one way to kind of help train that instinct of moving and running.
Well, how did that connection this summer come about?
I had always wanted, I'm kind of a Hall of Fame history sports buff, so I've been to the Baseball Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame, wanted to go see the tennis one. Newport's a really cool town, and the opportunity just came up. I had a friend that I hit with back in my hometown who knows people at the Hall of Fame, Todd Martin, who runs the Hall of Fame, so got the chance to go out there and see everybody, and we left. I had no idea what to expect, and we left, and I was so glad we went. It was a lot of fun.
What can you say about C.J. Ham as a player and a person, and how valuable is he to this team?
It'd be difficult to articulate and put into words because he's meant so much to our team, to me as a player, to me as a person. He's a leader. He's a great husband. He's a great father. Kevin Stefanski, when I first got here, said, just watch C.J. Ham because he does everything right all the time. And I've now been here 4 years, and I would say over my 4 years, that's stood the test of time. He just does everything right all the time. He's a very versatile football player. He can run a go ball and catch a go ball like he did against the Ravens last year. He can also, block a defensive end who's, 50 pounds heavier than him. He's the kind of player that when he's in the game in a crucial moment, you as a quarterback feel better knowing that he's one of the 11 guys in that huddle. He leads our Bible study most every week as the leader of it. And so he's just the total package. And I hope for as long as I'm a Minnesota Viking, C.J. Ham's a teammate of mine.
KJ Osborne in that number 3 position. Kevin was just saying we're asking more of him too, blocking, run pass, that kind of thing. What have you seen most so far out of him in improvement this year?
Yeah, I don't know how much you guys are able to see every single play, but over here in the corner, 2 practices ago, he caught 2 touchdowns, one in the back pylon, one by the front pylon. Big time plays. I mean, tight coverage. He's doing a good job separating as best he can, and then just making difficult catches. And what was funny was last year he showed up a lot in our 2-minute stuff because in 2-minute we weren't formulating the plays to get the ball to Adam or Justin as much. It was just base formations and just trying to run fast. And so KJ started showing up a lot. And I was saying to the coaches, we might want to get him more involved in the first and second down game plan throughout the whole game because in 2-minute he's really making plays for us. So I'm excited to have, a player of his caliber that can help, take the pressure off Justin and Adam. I've always said when you have a great second receiver, it can take the pressure off the first, but you could also say the same about KJ taking the pressure off Adam and Justin.
You've watched Kellen Mond kind of get started with year 2 here. Where have you noticed the most difference from where he was last year to now?
Well, I think there's a huge benefit just going through it a second time. OTAs and mini camp and training camp were all the first time for him last year. So when you can go now through a second time, you know what's coming. I think it helps you just simplify, what you're having to focus on. And you also know defense is better. You know the speed of the game better. So that's that natural growth that takes place as you go through the league.
Kirk, you mentioned that second receiver taking pressure off the first. You've always had 2
Correct.
Here.
Correct.
Maybe earlier in your career, what kind of problems does that potentially pose when you don't maybe have that second established guy?
Yeah, it's not ideal. I remember in Washington, having Deshaun and Pierre, it always helped to have 2 guys, and then here with Diggsy and Adam, and then with Justin and Adam, and it's been also great to see like when Adam was out in 2020 for a game against Carolina. You pull Olabisi aside and you say, hey, you've got to be Adam. You've got to step up and be that number 2 guy this week, and he did, and it makes a big difference for our offense. I think we lost Adam for about 6 weeks in 2019 and really relied on BC during that whole stretch. He did a great job. Last year, KJ stepping up in Adam's absence down the stretch. So you always want that that second guy to be a difference maker going against the defense. And if you have an injury, you got to find a way to still have it.
Kirk, how more relaxed or less tension is this training camp than last year? You know, last year you missed the 5 days and the COVID list and all that. How different is this one just after everything that maybe kind of happened last year, you know, missing some time in training camp?
I mean, honestly, the 5 days I was home was pretty relaxing. So if anything, it was probably less. You know, I think that no matter what, no matter how many years I play in this league, there's still a grind to it in terms of going over your plays, going over them again, saying them out loud. You know, just the details are so important. The game is so fast that, you know, no matter how many reps I've had, I go out to practice every day with just a little bit of butterflies, you know, that excitement, that edge, because it is a challenge, and you want to rise to the challenge day after day and have that continued improvement. So I just kind of feel the same as I have in past camps, even though it's year 11.
Did you ever feel you were behind on anything last year, missing time or anything like that, and this year it's different from that
No,
standpoint?
if anything, last year being in the system for 3 years, I felt, you know, pretty comfortable. I think this year would be a year where I can't afford to miss a rep, miss a day, miss a walkthrough, because something comes up, you know, in a newer system where I want to have covered it and talked about it and get those reps. So practices and just time in the building is really valuable right now. It's at a premium. Thanks, guys.